Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I'm super excited about my guest today because I have not really we just talked before we started recording, but I really don't really know her. And so I'm super excited because I want to learn just as much from her as you guys are going to learn from her today. She is a former corporate project manager turned lifestyle entrepreneur. Her name is Kristen Bonkoski. And she has built 2 successful online businesses around her passion for cycling. So I'm super excited to hear about this. She helps other entrepreneurs turn their own passions into profitable businesses that support their ideal lifestyle. And I just found out she also has a podcast called Fun Cycling Podcast. So thank you, Kristen, for being here today.
Thank you, Angelina. I'm excited to be here.
I just love that you, and I told her before we started, is that she reached out to me. And I think that that's so inspirational because there's a time when we all kind of hide and we're too scared. We want these big dreams and these big goals, but we just kind of hide and we stay silent. And I just want to know is what made you, one, start your own business? Like what's behind that? And just how bold are you? Because I'm super excited to learn all about this.
Okay, well, I'll start with the first one and how did I start? And, this was 12 years ago. I was working as a project manager at a Fortune 100 aerospace company. It's a company you would definitely recognize the name of if you heard it. And there were lots of really wonderful things about that job that I'm sure many of you can relate to. I had good pay and benefits, which was number one. I had great people that I worked with, and I also had a lot of career progression there. So it was something that was really hard to walk away from. But at the same time, every night I came home from my job, I was miserable. And I remember actually my son had just been born, and I remember sitting in a bathroom stall at work and crying because I wanted to be at home with him. And I hated having to ask permission to stay home with him if he was sick. I hated having to ask permission to go to the doctor. I'm a very independent person, and so that part killed me. And then the other thing that just really stuck out to me that this isn't the right place for me was that so many people that I worked with were so passionate about aerospace. To them, this was their dream job. You know, they had their model airplanes on their desks, and they, on the weekends, were going to get their pilot's license. Like, airplanes, aerospace was their passion, and it was not my passion. My passion was riding bikes, both road cycling and mountain biking, and that's what I did after work and on the weekend, and that was where my heart really lied. And I remember there was a day when my son was about a year old, and we took him on a Sunday afternoon on a family bike ride. And I felt like, this is it. Like, this fills my heart. This is so joyful for me. This is everything I want to do with my life. But that's ridiculous, right? Because there is no job description that is biking with your child, biking with your family. But I just knew that, like, somehow that passion inside of me had to be my purpose somehow. And so I started a blog writing about biking with my son and reviewing the bike seats and the trailers and eventually the kids' bikes that we were using. And that ended up actually being a profitable business for me. And I started that, while I was still working a full-time job in 20-minute increments at a time. And within about 2 years, my husband came to me and he said, let's quit our jobs and travel the country for a year in an RV and go to all these different mountain bike destinations that we've dreamt of going to. And that was my time to kind of dive off into the deep end and see if I could actually support our family full time doing this. And I did. I ended up swimming and started not only the business I already had going, which was Rascal Rides, but I also started a separate business for women who were trying to get into cycling. And between those two, they've completely transformed my life. Just having a career that's something that I'm passionate about and love really makes a difference. When you're going to spend 40 hours a week doing something, I believe it should be something that you love doing. And then I think you had a second question there, which was, how brave am I, or how bold am I? And the answer is none, not at all. I think I was born kind of like a fearful person. I'm an introvert. I'm really shy. It's hard for me to ask for things that I want. Even if I'm at a restaurant and I've asked for ranch on the side and they don't bring it to me, I'll be like, oh, this be fine without the ranch. I won't ask for that ranch. But I also believe that you have to go for the things that you dream of. If you have a dream, that it's there for a reason, that if you're religious or spiritual at all, that God has given you that for a reason, and that it's your duty to act upon it. And so I've made these risky choices in life, and every time I've made a really risky choice, it has paid off for me tenfold. And I've gotten really good at asking for what I want. So, you said you asked me to come on this podcast, and I recently have been doing a challenge where every day I send 5 emails pitching myself for something I want. And that might be a podcast request, or sending an email to a client that I would like to coach, or asking a brand for a sponsorship deal. So I don't think that you have to be born a bold or brave person. You just have to go for it, even when you're scared.
I absolutely love that. There's so many things that you said that resonated with me so completely. I have been in that space where I have totally realized I am doing something, and yes, I love it, but my passion isn't behind it. I love
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for what I do, but I don't have that passion, and I
Yeah.
don't. You lose it after a while, and the fact that the ask I can relate with asking the time off of work and things like that. When my son was born, he had an umbilical hernia, and he had to have surgery. And it was like I only got 5 days of sick leave the whole year, and it was like I got to ask for 1 day off. And this 1 day off is like, what if he gets sick again?
Yeah.
He's only 3 months old, and I'm gonna have to ask my first day off. What if he gets sick again? And if he got sick again or anything happened, he was a sickly child. Every time I had to ask a day, or it was no pay, or all of these things. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And even though as when we're, and it could be males too, but when we're females, sometimes when we're in, I don't know if you were in that, when you're in aerospace, I'm not sure if it was a male dominated industry.
Oh,
I
definitely.
know, yeah, I know I worked in manufacturing, and it's a very dominated male industry. And so when you're a female in there and you're able to, progress, and you have all these things, you're in charge of this department or that department, or, you move up the line, it's really, really hard. You're so thankful that you did it, but then you also have that mom guilt, or that, like, that type of thing too. And it's hard to walk away from a good lucrative career too. But
Yeah.
the fact that you had that support of your husband who said, "Let's do this," would you have ever thought to just go and travel if he had not asked you to do that?
Yeah, well, I think it was my dream too. It was something I wanted to do, but when he was like, "Well, let's go do it." He's always been much less fearful than me. I think he just thinks that, the worst thing that's happened is we come back after this trip and get a new job, and he just believes that things will work out. So, um having, I think, that optimistic partner's been very really helpful for me. But I feel you on being a working mom, and um, that was such a huge reason for me to start my own business, was so that I could support my family, be a working mom, but also be there for my son, not have to worry about taking sick
Mhm.
time to take care of him.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that you said about your husband being, the optimist. My husband always tells me, and we talked prior before we started recording about some of the challenges I'm dealing with
Yeah.
my current job, but, he always, tells me, I love how you said you're, like, reaching out to people, and that you've given yourself a challenge, because he always says the answer is always gonna be no if you never ask, like, you don't
Yeah,
even know, and if they say no, okay, move on. But how
right.
many times do we waste, thinking, "Oh, if I could just," waste time, and I'm a time management coach, so as I tell people, we always think like, "Oh, I could do this," or "I wish I could get that sponsor," but we don't even ask. Like, it just, like, takes, like, 5 seconds to ask, and then they say, "No, okay, then you're not just stop wasting time, work on something else, move on,
Yep,
next thing?"
exactly.
I love that. And so
Yeah.
with this, so your 2 businesses, you're still doing the blog writing? Is that
Yes.
what you're okay,
Yep.
so you do
So
that.
I have a blog, I have YouTube channels, and I have a podcast. So those are my kind of my creative platforms that I'm on.
I love that, I love that. And so now you're coaching people. You're helping that entrepreneur, that, to go and develop her business, like, or his or her business. Is it, do you just work with females, or do you work with both?
So far, just women. That's what I do with my cycling business too, and I just really enjoy supporting women. I think that it's easier for me to relate to their life
Mhm.
and their goals than it is for me with men.
I love that. I also wonder, so have you always been into cycling, or is it something you did, or did you start to have a love for it later? Because, like, I've only rode a I probably only rode a bike like 4 or 5 times as an adult, and twice no, maybe 10 times. Twice it was just to run, do a triathlon. It was like only a 12-mile drive ride, and I really just never got into. I'm scared. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Well, I got into it in high school. I was a junior in high school when I had some personal reasons that I ended up quitting ballet, which is what I had done 6 days a week since I was a very little girl. And I also was just having a really tough time fitting in high school and having friends and feeling like I belonged anywhere, and just didn't have a lot of self confidence. And my dad asked me if I would go do, I think it was a 60-mile bike ride, an organized bike ride in the Yellowstone with him. And I mean, I'd ridden a bike before, but I'd never ridden a bike any distance further than, around the neighborhood. And I went and did this ride, and I showed up completely unprepared. I hadn't trained for it. I got there and everybody had on their lycra kits and their clipless pedals and all of the things. And I was in gym shorts and tennis shoes and felt completely out of place once again. But I went and did this ride. It was so hard. I finished and I just fell in love with that feeling of doing something really hard and completing it and knowing that I can do really hard things. And from there, I think the second ride I signed up for was 200 miles. And we did that together also. And every time I did something a little bigger and a little harder, the more I fell in love with the support. And so that's, became my life in college, my early career. It was the thing I did nights, weekends, anytime I could find. And then once I've started my businesses around it, I now just love that I get to help other women who are starting out to discover that they are more capable than they realize, and they can do hard things also. And that confidence that you get on the bike applies to business and to the real world and to all the things that we have to do in the real life.
I think that's so awesome because like I said, like I had one bike as a kid and then I still have that bike. But then like somebody told me, let's try just do this triathlon. I'm like, okay. I bought a bike from Costco, not really knowing what to do or what to do. Like I like probably rode it twice and then I did this triathlon. And the bike run was I was dead last on the bike. But I finished.
Yeah.
I finished the race. I was the last person to finish the race, but that my bike tires messed up. I didn't know you were supposed to carry a bike tube and like all these other things you're supposed to do. I didn't know.
No.
So then the second time I did the race, I kind of trained a little bit more, but I actually found a bike that I loved. I went and got like one of the, like tested the bikes out, not just buying something just because the price is right. I got me a Diamondback bike and did all these different things. And I actually still have that bike, but I have it set up in a podium type thing so I can ride it all year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. But I actually love the free. I used to do running. Like that was my thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Running just to kind of, I was going through some hard things in life and it was kind of like an escape, so to speak. It was
Yeah.
like this the time that I could go out there and not have to worry about anything. I was like, okay, I'm gonna run to the next tree or the next light pole or the next mailbox or whatever it was. And it was just my time to be in nature and then spend that time with God. And I would like
Yeah.
run with spiritual music and it just really helped my anxiety and things like that. So I can see how the biking is because the second time when I got the better bike and I was riding it, there was some like we would just go through like roads and just ride, and it was pretty nice. It's just I get fearful for the
Yeah.
cars going.
A lot of people do. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that, though, that you're, talking just about those mental benefits, because so many people think that exercise, whether it's running or cycling or whatever, we're doing it for weight loss or for our health, but it's also the mental health benefits of it. It's so huge.
hmm I think it's so important because you're out there and it's whatever you do, whether you're working, whatever workout you're doing, but when you're put away from your devices, and yes, I said that, sometimes I'd run with music, but lately I've been walking and I don't even take I have my phone in with me, but I don't even take it out. I don't have headphones on. I just want to hear the leaves against the trees and things like that. I just want to be away from all of it sometimes because the world's a hectic place.
It is, yes.
And so, but anything that you can do that you're not sitting down, on, with our devices, watching TV or anything that you can go and move your body is so beneficial. It just helps you, like you said, the mental is so important. Uh, is what I think. We do it in a different format. Now we do a lot of remote control cars.
Okay.
We go use remote control cars.
Yeah.
We're part of a nonprofit that goes and helps veterans and first responders to go out there, move their bodies by way of just using these RC remote control cars. So that's what
Fun.
we do. Yeah.
Those are fun. Yeah. Do you have a track you go to?
Yeah, there's some tracks, but we also have one of the best mountain ranges near us within about a
Okay.
5-mile radius. So yeah. But it's
Fun.
again, my husband, he's like, I can be on one rock or one course, like he'll do the crawling. He goes, I can be on one course for hours and not even realize the time went by just trying to conquer this course. And he goes, but then at least I'm like out there. I'm not, watching TV or all the other things. And I'm not saying that TV's bad, but sometimes people just sit and you don't even realize you're sitting for 12 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Or especially, I think even worse is social media, right? We just sit
Mhm.
there and consume, and 2 hours later, you don't know what you've done with yourself. So, yeah, it's good to go out in the real world away from the screens.
And that's so important too, is like, when I say I'm going out there and walking, like when I used to do my running, I'd have my, I would record all of it and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't even do all of that anymore because it's like, it's just being addicted. My one of my uncles calls it a hemorrhoid. It's like it's being addicted to your phone is a hemorrhoid, but it's just we're so addicted to those types of things, and to put it down, look, and like for you, you're with your son, you're able to do things and enjoy his growth because kids grow up so fast. Like
So
my
fast.
children are adults, and I was like, if I would have realized how fast it would have went, like I didn't have phones when they were younger, like we didn't have that type of
Yeah.
technology, but it's just a different life. It just goes by before you know it.
Yeah. Sadly.
So how often do you go writing, and then how do you incorporate, because as a woman entrepreneur who has two businesses, you're married, you have your son, how do you go through these but manage your day-to-day habits and your daily routine to do all the things you're able to do?
Well, I think it's constantly evolving. I'm really big on believing that there are different seasons. So I'm constantly reevaluating what my priorities are for this season, whether that season is a year or a month or just this week. Um, so, for instance, this summer, my son was home, he didn't have school, and he just turned 13, so I know that my time with him is so limited. So this summer my priority was I'm going to spend a lot of time with my son, and therefore my business took somewhat of a back burner. My writing took somewhat of a back burner, and that was okay because I believe you can do everything, but you can't do everything at once, right?
Hmm.
So that was that season. Now he's back in school. I've been slacking on the business, so I know I got to spend more time on that. And again, I'm not spending as much time with him. I'm not spending as much time on my bike, and that's okay. And then in the spring, I'll have probably a race that I'm training for, and that will start to take center stage. So I just think that it's always, for me, knowing what my priority right now is, making sure that I'm still feeding everything else to a degree to keep it afloat, but giving myself a lot of grace that I can't be on my A game in all areas of my life at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's so important because when you're trying to do, you can't be 100% all the time
Right.
on every single thing. And there's a season like, that you need to go, like, okay, this is crunch time for this because this is my, like if you had a book coming out, or, your podcast seasons, and you want to have these episodes all lined up, or all whatever it is
Yeah.
in life. Like if you had your website you're launching, you can't just think that you're going to launch your website, have these webinars, do all these things all at once. Like you have to focus your time intentionally to where I just could call it key performance indicators. Like what
Yeah.
is it you really want? And then what is the daily actions that you need to take to get you to where you are? And there might be times where you're going to spend about a little bit more hours on this activity than this activity based on the priorities and the needs of what your goals are. And I think
Right.
that's so important. And people think that they have to go and be 100 at everything. You got
Yeah.
to be the only one that's washing, doing the household chores, taking care of your children, grocery shopping, doing all these things, and you can't. It's just
Yeah.
impossible. Like I used to like if I wasn't the Instacart or the grocery delivery, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, they're not really looking at their, you're not spending time looking at your groceries and all this stuff, and I was like, then I realized how much time it saves, and I'm like, I do it as much as I can. One, I don't have to. We don't overspend.
Yeah.
But it's little things like that. Like you can delegate things too and not feel guilty about it. And I think that you coaching people to how to do this and how to, show them that you can be a mom, you can be a wife, but you can also have those goals, taking care of your body by, doing your exercises, and you're getting into that mental space to take care of your mental your mental health, mental
Yeah.
wellness. But then you can also go and do this business that, or, whatever that is that God has put on your heart to do. I think
Yeah.
is so important.
Absolutely.
And so how does your coaching work? How do you help these do you do in person, or do you do online, or how does it all work?
Yeah, so I do right now. I've been doing one-on-one coaching this is sort of new for me. So seeing how I can help people and meeting one-on-one has been really helpful in that way. And the reason that I started doing it was because I had so many friends who would come to me and say, I wish I could do what you do. And I was like, well, you can do what I do, whatever your passion is, whether that's gardening or baking or Pokemon cards or whatever that thing is, no matter how crazy it seems illogical that could be your business, you can turn it into a business. So I've been working with folks one-on-one doing that. And then I'm also currently putting together a course, and that'll be coming out really soon. And that hopefully will be able to help more people, because I think that if this is something that sounds interesting to you, that you should go for it. You should give it a shot.
I love that. I love that. I love that you're bringing in all, helping the people one on one. And I love how you said it's like, don't think about it like if you don't have a cycling business or a thing about, that you can't coach with you, because it could be anything that is your
Yeah,
passion. The same things as apply, you got to have your website, you got to have all these different things. And depending, maybe you don't need a website, maybe there's other avenues that you can advertise your business on. But how are you going to be known for your business? And what is it, you know, what are going to be your goals and projections of things like that. So I think that's important.
absolutely.
And I think that you being a project manager, have background, it really helps you out with that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Um, I think I mentioned earlier that I started out my business in 20-minute chunks when my son was taking a nap or on my lunch break at work or whatever the case may be. And I've always, I think, as a project manager, thought, like, where do I want to get? But then let's break it down and break it down again and break it down
Hmm.
again and break it down again until we get tasks that are 20 minutes long.
Yes.
Because it's so hard in the beginning to see this big, huge goal and not even know how to get there. But when you can say, I have this 20-minute thing, like I'm going to today just create a logo for my business, that it's this small, tiny little things. But once you do enough of them, you turn around and you've built something big and something you can be really proud of.
Yes, exactly. I think it's those everyday those actions, and you don't have to do like the whole big thing like you said. Like you can't just you're not going to sit there and try to write your website and put it all together in one day. Okay, maybe one day you do the about page or you do this page or you do that, like saying that you're working on your website, but
Yeah,
even said like, okay, I'm going to do the logo. Okay, and then, how am I going to do, am I going to send out emails? What's that going to look like? What software am I going to use? Like that research, all of those things. And pretty soon, the next thing you know, you have your brand, you have your way to get in touch with your clients, and you have a platform to share what you're doing. So I think that's important.
I agree.
Like you were said you were in aerospace. I did. I'm still kind of in manufacturing, but we would like build rebuild vehicles for the Marine Corps. And it's like, okay, how are you going to do that? Well, you're not going to get to take there's processes and there's steps. You can't go from this to that without looking at the steps that you need to accomplish the mission. And we would break those things down. And I would say, if you're out there and you're thinking like, what are they talking about? Production, project management, all that stuff. Think about it like this is how I explained it when I would teach, and I teach. You're making your Thanksgiving dinner, and you all want your dinner to be done at a certain time for everybody to come. Okay, so what are you going to eat? What's the meal going to look like? And you plan out your meal, and then okay, I got to make these pies, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. So what tasks do I need to make the day before? What tasks when do I need to take out the turkey to defrost? What I even break it down to what cooking devices I'm going to use. If I'm going to make a ham and a turkey, maybe I can cook the turkey if I'm just doing a turkey breast in a crock pot, and then I can do the ham in the oven or whatever it is. Like, think about it at that. Like, don't we all are planners, and we do it when we do our Thanksgiving dinner or Easter dinner or whatever meals we do. It's the same thing doing it towards a business. Would you say that's pretty much aligned?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great analogy.
And when I used to have meals, they're like, "Well, we don't make Thanksgiving dinner." I was like, "Okay, when you barbecue, you
Yeah,
still do the same stuff. You gotta, you set your grill up a certain time. You gotta take your meat out at a certain time. You gotta season. Like it's all part of it, and helping. But the thing is when we're trying to do a business, we can get overwhelmed. Like we
yeah,
have this thought, we have this ideal, but then we get overwhelmed. Like, where do I start? And that's where a coach comes in. The coach can come and help you plan that all out and hold you accountable, help you plan it all out, and show you like help you guide you through the lessons that they had a hard time getting through because nobody was there to guide them. Having
yes,
that guide, I think, is so important.
absolutely.
So I love that. And how if people want to, well, before we get into there, I know that I always ask my listeners this, and then we'll wrap up with your links and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, if somebody wanted to refine and shine like you, like take some type of action, or even just do any, like if you, how do I say it? I just got lost in my thoughts. um, if you want to, what type of action, a step, or anything would you give my listeners today who are listening, and like, to help them refine and shine in their lives?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I would say decide what you are really passionate about. And that should be obvious to you, right? Like, don't go searching for something that you think is going to make you a bunch of money. Like, actually start with, what am I passionate about? What do I spend my free time doing? What do I already love to talk about? Because chances are you can turn around and help someone who's a few steps behind you in that. Um, and then also, how can you use that passion to make a difference and to have a purpose? So for me, I love cycling, but I also really love helping other women get on their bicycles because I know that it can literally change their life. So find your passion and your purpose and go figure out how you can build a business with that, because if you can do that, you're going to be so happy in your career. It's going to have build a life, not just a business, but a whole life that you really really love. And I would say go look around in that space. So if you love gardening, go look around in the gardening space and see who else has already made this a career. How have they made this a career? And if somebody else is doing it, you can absolutely do it. That is proof that it is possible for you. And the really hard thing is then you start comparing yourself where you are today to this person who started 5, 10, 15 years ago, right? But that's the end state. And now we got to go back, break it down to all those teeny tiny little pieces and start here now. And don't try to compare yourself to that person that's 15 years ahead of you, but know that that's the possible end state for yourself as well.
Yes, yes, because I think that, well, we all know that comparison's a thief of joy. And when you're constantly comparing yourself, you're not appreciating all the things that you're capable of.
Yeah.
And we're all unique. Maybe they have something, a career doing this, this other person, and you're like, oh, well, I can never be like them. Who knows? You might have a different flair or a different, a spin on it.
Yeah.
I know when I wanted to start my podcast, I was like, I wanted to do it, and like life stuff happened and I didn't get to do it when I wanted to do it. And then all these other of my friends were doing their podcasts, and I'm like, well, they're already doing it. But then I was like, I'm still going to do it because God kept saying, you're going to do a podcast. And so I did it. And I love it. It's something that brings me joy. It I just love meeting new people, talking to new people. And so I don't find it like as a business to do it. Like I find it as joy to do it. And I think
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah.
I've always heard too that if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life, right? And
Yeah.
so if you love what you're doing and you can make that into your full-time career, then do it.
Absolutely. And it's also then you're intrinsically motivated, which we know is like a lot more motivating and makes you a lot more productive than just like chasing external things like money. I mean, the money is
Mhm.
great too, but that only gets
Yeah.
you so far. Once you have food on the table and a roof over your head, it's not going to continue to motivate you.
Yeah, I think that's so important because when we like, I always think about it as like, what can I like? Money can, like you said, money is important. It can help you put food on the table and everything.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly chasing money and not a satisfied, like the satisfaction of just doing what you enjoy to do, like that's a different type. Like you're gonna always want the next thing. You're gonna want more money, more money, more money. But the peacefulness that you feel like, okay, I accomplished this goal. I was able to do this 60-mile bike ride or the 200-mile bike ride or any of those things
Yeah.
that's gonna keep you that helps you keep motivating where the money comes and goes, like, it flows, so I love
Yep.
that.
Agreed.
So, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way that they're gonna be able to talk to you, if they want to get coaching from you, or they wanna check out your podcast, all the things? I will make sure I have the links in your show notes, but just in case they're just driving and they wanna hear it real quick, what's the best
Yep.
way?
So my three separate businesses. The first is my coaching for business, starting your own passion-based online business, and that is KristenBonkoski.com. My second business is for women's cycling, and that is femcyclist.com. And then the third is for parents who want to bike with their kids, and that is rascalrides.com.
I love that. And I'll make sure I have all of those in the show notes. I just want to say thank you so much for being an amazing guest. And I just love what you're doing. And I cannot wait to see all these businesses that you're going to help, all these women entrepreneurs out there that you're going to help, because I think it's going to be amazing. And I love that you put a passion that you had into a business, and you've been doing it for what, 12 years now?
Yeah, it's 12 years since I started. It's been less than that I've been full-time, but since I started, 12 years.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, because most businesses, small businesses, or any, fail within the first 5 years, and you are now double that. So
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being a guest today.
Thank you, Angelina.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fuel your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.